Sexual fantasies between consenting couples can feel like a mini vacation from the boring stresses of everyday life. Some couples fantasize about sharing their partner with another person. Psychologists theorize that there is a base primal idea of male mammals having a need to pursue and subdue the female in order to procreate. In today's case, we look at how this theory may have trickled down to today's human race, while we examine a group of men in Singapore who take acting out their fantasies a step too far. On a sex forum called Sammy Boy, men discuss various fantasies they had with other men online. Oliver, a 45-year-old finance executive, met John on the forum when Oliver had started a thread titled Wife Fantasy in April 2010, inviting like-minded men to contact him. He and John then discussed their fantasies in private chats. John had tried to test the water in real life with his wife, showing her pornography of two men having sex with a woman to see if his wife would be willing to participate in a threesome. She told him, however, that he was crazy and made it clear to him that she was not interested. John knew then that his wife would not willingly or consciously participate in his schemes. Instead of abandoning the idea, he began plotting with his online friends to sedate each other's wives. John asked Oliver to approach his wife and provided him with her contact details. Using the fake persona of Brad Chan, Oliver contacted the woman and started to chat with her online. About a month later, on August 17th, they met for dinner at Punggol Park. On September the 2nd, Oliver met John's wife for lunch at East Coast Park. After lunch, Oliver took her to a nearby resort hotel where they had consensual sex. She would later cut off contact with Oliver and blocked him on social media because he had tried to convince her to have a threesome with him and her husband. According to John, Oliver had begun having an affair with his wife secretly, which John discovered by snooping through his wife's chat logs. After this, he decided to drug his wife on their third wedding anniversary in 2011 and invited Oliver to their home to have sex with her. John went on to conspire with other men in order to fulfill his wife-sharing fantasies over a period of 8 years. John told Marcus, 45, a company director, that he enjoyed seeing Oliver seduce and have an affair with his wife. Between 2010 and 2011, John drugged his wife with a sleeping pill called Dormicum, then blindfolded her and told Marcus, who was waiting downstairs, to go up. While Marcus had sex with his wife, John took photographs and a video. Some months later, John spiked his wife's wine and invited Marcus to come over again so that John could take photographs while Marcus assaulted his wife. In 2018, Marcus asked his former wife to go with him to John's home, where John offered her a spiked drink and then went on to have sex with her, but this time Marcus took the photos of the horrific sick act. Another man, Ken, drugged his wife on 3 occasions between 2012 and 2013, and when she fell unconscious each time, John assaulted her on the couple's matrimonial bed. In turn, with John's help, Ken, who worked in business development, slept with John's unconscious wife at John's home in 2014. After raping each other's wives, Ken and John shockingly continued to reminisce about what they had done, showing no remorse or guilt. Ken joked about how it would be nice if I could manage to knock her up. The pair also spoke at length of their plans to get their wives raped and impregnated by other men. John and Ken each also secretly live-streamed themselves having sex with their wives to others. The men would commend one another for the acts performed. In 2013, John invited Lewis, 54, a business development manager, into the group. Lewis, like Ken and Marcus, was asked to come to John's home after his wife was drugged yet again. John then went on to send videos of Lewis raping his wife to Nick. Nick, a food delivery driver, raped John's wife on 2 occasions between 2017 and 2018. Aside from having his wife raped and humiliating her by broadcasting her nude images and their sexual activities to internet users, John also gave her underwear and items of clothes to Nick as souvenirs. Nick kept all the images John sent to him of the sexual assaults. One such image included a caption John added saying, "Happy birthday, I will always be knockout waiting in my bed for you, your sex doll, John's wife." The illicit offences may have gone undiscovered had it not been for John and Ken continuing to reminisce about their depraved acts. In the early hours of January the 1st, 2020, while John was sleeping, his wife noticed that his phone was playing a video. She picked up the phone to turn it off, but saw a Skype chat with Ken. The chat contained explicit images of her, including one of her naked with a blindfold, and another of her unconscious. Shaken to her core, the mother of four slapped her husband awake. It was then that John confessed to her what he had done. In her victim statement, John's wife said she felt appeased at first when her husband apologised to her. She said, "At the start, I only thought that there was only one co-accused. Subsequently, when there were more and more and more accused being charged to court, only did I realise how bad the case was. I kept thinking about how cruel he was to do this to me." The judge said he was not persuaded that John was remorseful, despite the man's claim that he wanted to come clean and atone for his sins. He said that John's mitigation plea was self-serving, attempting to deflect responsibility and shift blame to others, including his co-accused, and that he even resorted to victim blaming. John described his offences as a retaliation measure against his wife for her affair. John addressed the court, telling them that he was pleading guilty to own up and accept his punishment, adding, "Right now, my main concern is the safety of my wife, as well as my children." John also submitted a psychiatric report stating that he had a sex addiction, but the judge did not accept that the report was reliable or relevant. Oliver was the only one of the group of men to stand trial instead of pleading guilty. During Oliver's trial, John testified that he had invited Oliver over to rape his wife in March 2011. John stated that he and his wife had wine to celebrate their wedding anniversary, and he spiked her drink. He said that when he saw Oliver having sex with his unconscious and blindfolded wife, he felt anger, thrill, and then guilt. But Oliver denied that there was an agreement between him and John for him to rape John's wife. He also denied raping the victim. Oliver said that the reason John had asked him over was to confront him for having an affair with John's wife. Oliver claimed that he freaked out inside the house, and that when he was asked by John whether he wanted to touch the victim, he pretended to touch himself sexually in an attempt to get out of the situation. He said he then chatted with John for a while before he left. These claims were rejected, however, by Justice Cheon, who said Oliver's account was inconsistent, illogical, and implausible, and defied common sense. The judge said it made no sense for John to make his wife unconscious if he wanted to confront her and Oliver for having an affair. She also noted that Oliver made no attempt to check on the woman after he saw her lying motionless on the bed, despite his original claim that he had gone there out of concern for the victim. Justice Cheon added that Oliver's statement that John was angry with him did not make sense, considering the fact that in the years following the incident, both men continued to interact with each other to talk about their sexual fantasies. Justice Cheon said the victim suffered grave trauma after finding out that she had been drugged and raped on the matrimonial bed. She was left hurt, angry, disappointed, and overwhelmed when she first discovered the offences against her, said the judge. The victim felt so upset that she thought she would be better off dead. The victim was unconscious and blindfolded at the time, and was thus clearly a vulnerable victim, said the judge. Her personal sense of security and safety were destroyed, and the offence violated the sanctuary she called home. Ken, Lewis, Marcus and Nick were sentenced in November 2022, receiving jail terms of between 13.5 years and 22 years. 3 of them also received 20 strokes of the cane, but the 4th was spared this punishment as he was over the age of 50. Oliver was sentenced to 13 years in prison and 12 strokes of the cane. John was sentenced to 29 years and 24 strokes of the cane in May 2023. On January 17, 2024, John appealed against his sentence. He told the Court of Appeal that he was appealing out of his love for his wife, children, and aging parents, and that he could not leave his loved ones to fend for themselves. He said he was denying that he had done wrong, but was asking for leniency. He said, "The sentence imposed has already choked the life out of me. My soul has died. What is left is just an empty shell." He also submitted letters from his mother and sister pleading for leniency. In her letter, his mother said he was an affectionate son who did not scrounge off his parents, even though he did not have enough money for his family. But the three-judge Apex Court said it did not think the sentence was wrong. Chief Justice Menon said, "If anything, I think the judge was lenient." He told John, "I know you feel shattered, you're self-blaming, you have to confront what you did, and you have to find the answer to that, but it's not in trying to suggest the court has to be lenient to you."